As Oliver stands beside his waitress wife, Emma, at a glitzy gala, the wealthy guests gasp when Emma steps onto the stage. Her composed demeanor and the thunderous applause following an unexpected announcement leave everyone, including Oliver's shocked parents, speechless. Suddenly, all their assumptions about her status begin to unravel in a dramatic twist. The audience watches, spellbound, as long-held secrets unfold and perceptions are shattered. What follows will change everything Oliver's family thought they knew, leading to an unforgettable ending no one saw coming. But before we dive in, leave a comment and let us know where you are watching from today. And if this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories. In the opulent halls of the Lancaster estate, William Lancaster, the esteemed patriarch of a wealthy business empire, paced the grand living room. His gaze was hardened, his face flushed with anger. The reason for his unrest was his only son, Oliver, and the latest choice he'd made that had shocked the entire Lancaster family to its core. How could he do this? William muttered, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. A waitress? Of all people, he chose to marry a waitress. Seated on a velvet sofa, Margaret Lancaster, William's wife, tried to remain calm, but her trembling hands betrayed her feelings. She had heard the arguments, the screams, and the raised voices that had filled the mansion in the last few days. Oliver, their beloved son, had fallen in love and married a woman named Emma, a waitress he had met while out with friends. Emma was humble, gentle, and, by all accounts, kind. But to the Lancasters, she wasn't suitable. Not for their son, the heir to the Lancaster fortune. William stopped pacing and stared at Margaret. Do you know what this means for us, Margaret? The business, our reputation. People will talk. They already are. He's thrown away everything we built for him. Everything. Margaret looked down, her heart torn between the love she had for her son and the fear of her husband's wrath. Maybe she'll make him happy, William, she said cautiously, her voice barely a whisper. William's face twisted in anger. Happy? You think happiness is worth throwing away a legacy? He's supposed to marry someone of his class, someone who understands our world. Not a waitress. He spat out the word as if it were poison. Margaret said nothing. Deep inside, she wondered if this was really about class, or if William's pride was simply hurt. But she knew better than to challenge him now. Across town, Oliver and Emma sat in their cozy apartment, which was a far cry from the luxurious Lancaster mansion. Despite the simplicity, their home was filled with warmth and love, something money couldn't buy. Emma looked at Oliver, her brown eyes filled with concern. Are you sure about this, Oliver? She asked, her voice gentle. I don't want to come between you and your family. If this is going to cause so much pain, maybe we should. Oliver took her hands in his, shaking his head firmly. No, Emma. I chose you because I love you. My parents have always cared more about appearances than what truly matters. They'll see one day. They'll understand. But even if they don't, I don't care. I want you. Only you. Emma's heart swelled, but she couldn't help the worry that crept in. She knew what it meant for Oliver to be cut off from his family. The Lancasters were not just rich, they were powerful. They owned businesses, properties, and wielded influence that affected many lives. For Oliver to choose her over them meant giving up everything he had ever known. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Oliver rose to open it, revealing an older man in a crisp suit, Mr. Jenkins, his father's lawyer. Oliver, Mr. Jenkins began, his voice devoid of emotion, your father has sent me to inform you that, effective immediately, you are disowned. You will no longer have access to the Lancaster accounts, properties, or any privileges that come with the family name. He has also instructed me to let you know that you are not to contact them again. Emma watched as Oliver's face remained calm, though she knew how much this hurt him. He nodded slowly, his jaw clenched. Understood, Mr. Jenkins. Please tell my father that I wish him well. The lawyer gave a curt nod and left without another word. As the door closed, Oliver turned back to Emma, his eyes glassy. She rushed to him, wrapping her arms around his waist. I'm so sorry, Oliver, she whispered. He held her tightly, pressing his forehead against hers. Don't be. You're worth more than anything they could offer. Weeks turned into months, and life for Oliver and Emma settled into a new routine. Oliver found work at a local business, and Emma continued her job at the diner. They didn't have much, but they were happy. Emma's kindness and warmth were infectious, and soon, their neighbors adored her. Oliver knew he had made the right choice, even if it had cost him everything. But Emma had a secret, one she had kept even from Oliver. She had never wanted to hide anything from him, but she also hadn't wanted him to love her for anything other than who she truly was. She wanted to be seen as Emma, the woman who worked hard, who loved deeply, and who wanted nothing more than to make a simple, happy life with the man she loved. One day, while Emma was at the diner, she received a phone call. She stepped outside to answer, her face growing pale as she listened. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "Yes, I understand. I'll be there tomorrow. Thank you." When she returned home that evening, Oliver noticed something was different. "Emma, is everything all right?" he asked, concern etched across his face. Emma hesitated before taking a deep breath. "Oliver, there's something I need to tell you. It's something I should have told you a long time ago." Oliver's brow furrowed, but he nodded, waiting for her to continue. "I wasn't completely honest about my past," Emma began, her voice trembling slightly. I come from a wealthy family too. My parents passed away when I was young, and they left me a significant inheritance. I never told you because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for what I have." Oliver stared at her, stunned. You're rich." Emma nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I know it might seem like I lied to you, but I wanted to be sure that our love was real, that it wasn't about money or status. I wanted a life that was genuine, and I found that with you." Oliver was silent for a moment, processing her words. Then he reached out, cupping her face in his hands. "Emma, I loved you before I knew any of this. I love you now, and I'll love you no matter what. I don't care about the money. I care about you." Emma let out a shaky breath, relief washing over her. "I was so afraid you'd be angry." Oliver smiled softly. "Angry? No. Shocked? Absolutely. But I love you, Emma. Nothing changes that." Word of Emma's true identity spread quickly after she made the decision to use part of her inheritance to invest in the community. She wanted to help those who had been kind to her and Oliver when they had nothing. She renovated the diner where she worked, giving it a fresh look and better working conditions for her co-workers. She donated to local charities and even started a scholarship fund for underprivileged students. It wasn't long before the Lancaster family heard about Emma's newfound wealth. William Lancaster, upon learning the news, was both furious and intrigued. How could they have missed this? How could they have disowned their son over a woman who turned out to be wealthy in her own right? One afternoon, William and Margaret showed up at Oliver and Emma's apartment unannounced. Oliver opened the door, his expression hardening when he saw his parents standing there. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his tone cold. William cleared his throat, trying to maintain his composure. "We came to talk, Oliver. We may have been hasty in our decision." Oliver crossed his arms, not moving to let them in. "Hasty? You disowned me without a second thought. You made it very clear where we stood." Margaret stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "Please, Oliver, we made a mistake. We just want to make things right." Emma appeared behind Oliver, her presence calm and composed. "Perhaps you should come in," she said quietly, stepping aside to allow them into their modest home. William and Margaret entered, their eyes scanning the small but cozy apartment. It was worlds away from the grandeur of the Lancaster mansion, but it was filled with warmth, something their home had always lacked. They sat down, and William cleared his throat again. "Emma, we've heard about your recent endeavors. We didn't realize. We didn't know who you really were." Emma smiled, her eyes kind but firm. "And who am I, Mr. Lancaster? A woman with money? Is that what makes me acceptable to you now?" William shifted uncomfortably. "It's not just about the money, isn't it?" Emma asked, her voice gentle but unwavering. "You judged me because of my job, because I wasn't what you envisioned for your son. But I love Oliver, and he loves me. That should have been enough." Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "You're right," she whispered. "We were wrong. We see that now. We just want our family back." Oliver looked at his parents, his heart torn. He had longed for their acceptance, but he wasn't sure if he could ever forgive them for the way they had treated Emma. Emma reached for his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Family is important, Oliver. If they're willing to change, maybe we can find a way forward." Oliver looked at her, then back at his parents. He sighed, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "We can try," he said finally. "But things won't just go back to the way they were. Trust has to be rebuilt." William nodded, his expression earnest. "We understand, son. And we're willing to do whatever it takes." In the months that followed, the Lancasters worked hard to mend their relationship with Oliver and Emma. William, though still proud, began to see the value in humility and kindness, qualities that Emma embodied effortlessly. Margaret spent time getting to know Emma, learning about her past, her dreams, and the love she had for Oliver. Emma continued her work in the community, with Oliver by her side. Together, they created something beautiful, a life built on love, respect, and understanding. The Lancaster name, once synonymous with wealth and power, began to represent something more meaningful: compassion and unity. And as they all gathered one evening for dinner at Oliver and Emma's apartment, a simple meal, but one filled with laughter and warmth, it was clear that they had found something far more valuable than money or status. They had found each other. Emma's secret had changed everything, but not in the way anyone had expected. It wasn't her wealth that had brought the family back together. It was her heart. She had shown them that true worth wasn't measured in dollars or social standing, but in love, kindness, and the ability to forgive. The Lancasters had nearly lost their son because of their pride, but they had gained something far greater when they opened their hearts to the woman he loved. And in doing so, they discovered the true meaning of family. Oliver and Emma's love story became a testament to the idea that real wealth isn't about what you have, it's about who you have by your side, through thick and thin, in times of abundance and times of need. And as they sat together, surrounded by family, they knew they had everything they could ever want.